Hey guys, welcome back to RK Garage. On this episode, we're wiring up the IGN-1A coils. I'm going to wire them up, give you guys a rough how-to and whatnot. Best thing to do is to go onto the Haltech website, download the diagram. There, hopefully that camera can see. If I remember, I'll put this up on the screen so you can see exactly what every pin is and whatnot. Just quickly, I'll go grab a coil so we can line it up. So these here are the coils that I'm using on the mounts. Obviously I've got to tighten them up and whatnot. It's in there. So all the wiring will go into these here. Yes, I'm thinking about mounting it on the side of the car right near the chassis rail. So the wiring will go on the underside, come neatly out and up into a breakout harness. These here just go straight off out into the car. Then anyway, that's only relevant to me on EcoJet. If anyone's watching this and how to do it, it'll be something completely else. So I'm just going to finish this bit here. Go in here, what I'm going to need, got the connectors, crimping tool, some wire cutters. You can use pliers, which I usually use because I'm actually a Sparky, but these work really good, cut nicely, it's got a nice stripper. As I mentioned before, the pin out wiring diagram, so you can't get that wrong. I've got all my cable, all the different sizes, lengths and whatnot. Got some masking tape so I can write what each cable is as I wire it, so I don't have to keep tracing it back. Got some Tesa tape, or as the Hoff likes to refer it to, insulation tape. A little bit of insulation tape just to hold bundles together that I can tape over fully so they're not going everywhere. Pen to write. Got my box here of crimps because I probably will crimp a few along the way to minimise the amount of wires and whatnot. And obviously the coils themselves. Another handy thing is you can go online, search up what size wire they need, to like how many amperage each pin needs and whatnot, and then you can go figure out the size of wire, etc, etc. So anyway, I'm going to finish getting set up and we'll get straight into it. One other last thing I forgot to mention, it's handy to have written down where you're going to wire everything. I'm wiring this to a breakout harness again, to a Deutsch plug, however you pronounce it. So I've got it written down to what wires go into what pin, so I can do it as I'm wiring it, and also so that, well, I know for future reference when I go to wire the other side. Anyway, let's get into it. So this is how I wire them anyway. Alright, so now that you know what wires are going to what, you got your diagram sorted, you got the pin out for the actual coils. It's best to just start with picking what you're going to do first. So say you want to just get the power one sorted and out the way. So all these connectors here for the IGN-1A are pull to seat, which means you pull the cable through, crimp it, pull it back to here quick. So you're pulling the terminal in, essentially. And just like that, so it pulls through. Sweet, so that fits all good. So I'm going to start by wiring up my power. Make sure I don't lose any of these. My power and all of the coils. Let's just see, I just find that easier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get out 3 connectors. Got one there. Second one there. Cool, so now I'm going to reference my drawing here for what pin they go into. So as you can see on here, 12 volt power goes into pin E on the bottom there. I'm going to grab my connector, and you can see on here it is labelled E on this far side. So I'm just going to push my wire in. As you can see, it comes through. Just going to pull it through so it's comfy enough to work on. Now I'm going to pretend it's going off this way, it's running up there, and then I'm going to say I have my Deutsch connector somewhere up there. But there is more than enough for me. So that's that one done. Go to E again, start pushing it through. That's there. That's all good. I'm just going to cut this at roughly the same length, even though it will be shorter. It just makes it easier. I can just wire it to however I please. Same thing again. Locate pin E, push her in. So now for one bank of my coils, because my car's a V6, so I've got 6 coils, so one bank equals 3. I now have my power feeds in. I am going to do my ground to batteries next. So it'll be the exact same thing. It's working on pin D, so the one next to this. So I'm just going to go ahead and run this out. Cut this already into my 3 lengths, so I can just push them in and then it's done. Cool. So that's cut. Get that out of the way. Got my 3 wires there. On there, pull through. I'll just move that out of the way just so I don't grab the other end of the cable by accident. Just makes things a little bit easier. Alright, that's that one. That's that one. So next is the ground of a cylinder head. I'm going to use black again. So we'll do the same thing. If you feel like you are adequate enough at doing this, you could have just cut 6 lengths of whatever colour you're choosing for ground. I just did 3 just to make it nice and easy to follow. Some people aren't very good with wiring, or they just get too stressed out by it. They see wires everywhere, so the less wires you have laying around can make things a little bit easier for you to stay calm and focused. So we got them, same thing, gonna whack them there. Gonna feed them through. Going into pin C. one done. That's 2. And 3. They're all 3 nice. The next one is ground reference. So ground reference there, which is going to pin B. So ground reference, essentially, factory ECUs still have this. It might be called something different, but on an aftermarket ECU, it's generally called sensor ground. I think sometimes it's logic ground. I always use green for that. I just did that when I did my first harness. It just stuck to me, just makes it simple. I know that I can generally look, see a green cable, and I'm like, yep, that's sensor ground. These ones don't actually carry any amperage. It's just to detect the voltage difference between what the ECU is putting out to what they see at the battery or what they're seeing at the actual coil. La-di-da-di-da. I'm going to do the same thing. Cut 3 of these. And feed them through into pin B. Right, now for the ECU ignition output, I'd usually use a different colour wire, whether it's blue, yellow, white, but I've run out of all mine, so I'm just going to use red again. It's the complete opposite side of a pin. I've got it all written down and labelled what I'm doing, so I shouldn't get confused by it. If you're new to this, maybe go get a different colour wire, just so visually you can see. And you aren't too stressed out or confused. I've just grabbed some off-cut that I had, rather than chop a roll. Alright, so these are technical wired ready for the breakout harness. Obviously if you're wiring straight to the ECU or whatnot, your wire's going to be a lot longer. You've probably gone from the ECU out to the coil, got your lengths. Since I'm doing a breakout harness, I don't need to. Just to run through this, so you've got pin A. This is your ECU ignition signal, so this tells the coil when to fly. It actually, I believe, is a ground, not a power. Then you have your ground reference to the ECU, so this would be, say, sensor ground, blah-de-da-de-da. You've got your ground to the head. You need to make sure this does go to the head, not to the battery. This one is one of the most important ones. It needs to be as close to the spark plug as possible. Then you've got ground to the battery. A lot of people do put this to the chassis, to the motor, to the head as well. I'm going to take this to the battery just to keep it exactly as the wiring diagram is. And this one here in A is, in E, is your power, your 12 volt on a switch circuit. I'll be running this to a relay. I'll have 2 relays, one for each bank. But anyway, now we got that, we can start putting the crimps on these. So, I've got bags of crimps there. This actually has a little diagram of how long. I think it says how long, anyway. It doesn't, but anyway, it just shows you how to terminate it. They do sell a crimp tool. They have a video you can scan. But anyway, I'm gonna get my crimps out. Just gonna start from one side and work my way across. So I can see there that I need it. You can see roughly for length you need it to be stripped. So there, that's stripped. I then like to sit it in. I can see it's a little too long, so I'll then cut it shorter. I like to twist my cables so they're nice and neat. I can get my pin. I can see that that sits in there still a little bit too long. I don't know if you guys can see this here. This wider one here actually goes around the insulation, and then the 3 small ones go around the cable. It's not, that doesn't go like this. It sits like that. So I know I need to cut it shorter still. Can try get it to fit in. No, it still needs to be shorter. I could probably get away with that, but for the video's sake, that sits in perfect, just how I want it. Get your proper crimping tool. Sometimes these can be an absolute bitch of a thing. Sometimes it's easier to put it into a crimping tool, then slide your cable in. And get it crimp. So once it's crimped, I like to go back in, just double check everything is nice and tight and is crimped on. And it is simply just a pull to seat, so you pull it back through. It's the only thing I hate about these fucking stupid weatherproof things. So and that one there is pulled through and in. and seated. I'm going to do the next one on camera and I'll get them all done. I'll cut back. These wires can be fiddly, same as these connectors. And that's in. Should just pull in. Crimp in. Same thing again, you just want to pull this through, it lines up. Oop. This pushed out a little, there we go. So there's a little slot there where this little metal bit goes in, just pulls through. No, it won't push back out. Right, and there's the first one all done. It's all in, all plugged, all pushed in properly. All my wires are there. I'm going to go ahead and finish off the other two, get it all started to be loomed up nicely, and I'll come back to you guys. Got all these terminated for one set of coils. So what I'm going to do is, this is where this bit of tape comes in handy. I'm going to get one of my coils, I'm going to plug them all in. 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 So I've got them all plugged in, all my tails. And I'm going to say, for example, this is going on the passenger side. I know that I'll be running everything this way, so I'd basically be taping them together like that, and they just all plug in as needed. So what I'm going to do is I'll give these a little bit more space. Just something like that. Then I get my bit of tape. Just a bit further down. So that holds that bunch there. And I do the same for here. So then you get your rough lengths, you can unplug it, they all stay the same. I'm just going to neaten these up because there's a couple that aren't all even, so I'll do that off camera. Tape that, I can start to tape these little looms here and they're all sorted, and from there on I can mark the end of the cables by belling them out, or I could have marked them before I taped it. It's user choice, but essentially the coil side of things, that is how you wire them. So if you're just here for that, I'll try to post this picture here up on there so you guys can see it. Everyone else who's watching this, because they just like following the build, I'll be continuing on with this patch harness so you guys can watch that. And we'll end off this video there and then. Alright, so I've got them all labelled 135 with the coils, same as the plugs, 135. Got them all taped in place. Now I've just got to take them off, wrap this in Tesa tape, just these bits here, and I'm going to roughly place them in the car and see what length I roughly want it at. Then I'll tape them just behind so I know where to terminate from. There'll be a couple of wires that I join in the loom bit here. So I'll do that off camera. You guys don't need to see someone put tape on and line everything up. I'll just get to the fun stuff of. Alright, so I've got all the ones that I'm joining together. So all the ECU sensor grounds, I put them into one. Well, it needs one. It goes to one wire on the ECU. I might as well do it here. Save myself some terminals so I can use all the others for other shit. And then I decided to group the battery grounds together, so 3 goes into a connector, 2 wires come out. Then I'll have 2 wires run from here into the battery or the fuse box connection that I'm using. There, I'm going to leave all the cylinder heads as individual wires running to the head, which will then be grouped to a nice big ring terminal. I'm just doing that because I'm pretty sure that the head ground is the most important one out of them all. Got my Deutsch connector out and ready. A Deutsch crimper here, got that already. So I'm gonna, and we'll get this one wired up according to my legend that I've got here that I wrote up. So let's jump ahead and get into that. Alright, so here is one bank of the little breakout harness, all complete. So I added some extra tape in just to hold it all in place. It's still bend to wherever it needs to go, wherever. Now, I like to go through before I put the end bit in and tape it all up, make sure that I do have continuity from here to each of the correct pins. So I'm going to run through that. Get that there so I can see. Got a trusty shitty multimeter. I'm going to sit down for this one. So I know pin 1 is at the top here, so I'm going to run that around, and I know that E is the top of these. So pin 1, according to my little book here, I'll move that closer so I can see it. Pin 1, according to my book, should be coil number 1, or for cylinder number 1, 12 volt source. I know that 12 volt source should be pin E, which is at the top. So let's see if we can rig this up. Hopefully you guys can see that as well. So I know that this here should get continuity there, which we can see it does, which is good. So pin 2 should be cylinder 3, which it does. Pin 3 should be for cylinder 5. Which there it does. Then I know that in 4 I did battery ground, which in these battery ground is in pin D. So this one here should connect to that. I also know that pin 5 was, so I'll check that as well. So that's got that there. So that's got a good connection there. Check the other pin. Yep, it's got a good connection. That's good. So there, that's good as well. Oh, you can leave it on ohms, makes no difference. Number leads are 0.4, so when you see that come up, that's not 0.4, 0.3 of an ohm, it's actually the leads. Anything higher than 0.4, that's the actual resistance of the cable, which shouldn't really be any because it's that short. So I know in pin 6 should be ground head of coil 1, so the ground overhead is in pin B, which is the second bottom, I think. Sorry, middle, which there. That one had it. Then this one up here. Oh, actually, I think 7 goes down there. Yep. And then pin 8. Yep, that works as well. 9 is ground to the ECU sensor, which is B, which is the second last one. So that's got connection. That's got connection. And that's also got a connection, which is good. And then here is the ECU signal. So these go to A, so this one here should be for coil 1, or cylinder 1 I should say. This one here should be for cylinder 2. And then this one here should be for cylinder 3. Which where it is, everything tests out good. All my crimping and connections work well. So now I can go to the fun job of taping it up. I'll tape it up off camera and then I'll cut back once that's all done so you guys can see it, and I'll plug it in to whichever one I wrote on, which was this one. Yep, plug it into this one, and that's that one done. And we can get on to doing this one, which I'll do off camera. So tape all that up and we'll come back. Alright, so here, well, after that, here we have it. First breakout harness. It's all taped up in the Tesa tape, you know, installation tape as Hoff likes it. So this will sit here against the chassis rail. I don't know if you guys can see. Alright, set that up there. What I'm planning is for this one to sit somewhere roughly there. Could even go there, I'm not sure yet. It could even sit somewhere there, or could sit there depending on the turbo manifolds. I'll sort that out regardless. This plug here will be easy. I am liking the idea of it, having it right down here, out the way. Coil leads just nice and short. But get back to this spot. There we go. But that's this one done. That was a couple of hours there and just wiring all this up. I'm going to do the other one and then come back when that's done, and probably the end of this video will give a recap and how to wire it all again, just so people understand. So yeah, I'm gonna crack on with this. I'll see you guys in a couple of hours for me, but 2 seconds to you guys. Alright, so finally got the two done. Here they are. On camera, this Tesa tape wasn't the nicest, but in person it looks pretty good. So you've got the coils, so with it on top, 2, 4, 6, 1, 2, 3, well, sorry, 1, 3, 5. All the plugs are labelled so I can't get them wrong. A little breakout harness into Deutsch connectors here, so they can, now I just got to find the final resting place in the car for them and then get them to work. Right, that might be better. I was doing something weird, but so give a quick rundown again. All this, just get my shit out. Right, so quick rundown once again of how you wire these up. The pins that you wire in these connectors are pull to seat, meaning you push the wire through the connector, crimp the little pin and then pull it back onto it. So the plugs for these are there. A is the ECU ignition output, basically that's the ECU saying that coil to fire. B is reference to ground or the ECU sensor ground. C is your ground to the cylinder head. D is ground to battery, and E is your power. And then I also write up a little legend. I don't know if this video here is being before the coils or after, we'll see. Anyway, if this one for this comes out before I do my breakout harness, I go in depth on how to terminate these, so wait till next Saturday, or if you've already seen it, you already know. Anyway, there's all that, but I like to write all this down so I do know exactly which one's in what pin number, so I can see, you know, 1 to 3 is all 12 volt feeds, 4 and 5 are my battery grounds, 6, 7 and 8 are my grounds to head, 9 is the sensor ground to ECU, 10, 11 and 12 is the signal wires. And that's just exactly how I terminate them. We're all labelled at the back, but you can write on there what all of them are. So that's basically a quick run through of how to wire up IGN-1A coils. They're all the same, no matter what company you buy them from, no matter who has their sticker on it. I run a Link ECU, that Haltech had these in stock. They were one of the cheapest, so I ordered it from them. Makes no difference for AEM. I think MSD to a different version. There's all different brands. They're all the fucking same. Anyway, that's where I'm going to leave this video. I'm probably going to start filming straight into the next one. But in case you guys haven't already, like, subscribe, leave a comment, and I'll see you next week.